Welcome back to Jikoni Magic's Meza. On the menu today is delectable matumbo curry. I've taken an everyday African dish and tweaked it, given it a little twist that resulted in a total makeover of our everyday matumbo. I started by adding 2 tablespoons of sunflower oil to my sufuria. Swirled it around to cover its entire bottom, and once it came up to temperature, I added a mixture of whole spices. It's important to note that the heat should be on medium to low because you want the spices to warm up and release their natural flavors slowly. If the heat is too high, then they will burn way before their flavors get a chance to bloom fully. Stir them around, and once they start popping, they'll be ready. At this point, add 1 large red onion. Start to mix it with the whole spices and then add a pinch of salt. This will help in drawing out the moisture from the onions, which will in turn result in them cooking faster. Cook your onions up to this point where the spices are almost starting to acquire some color. See this? That's what I mean. Then add 2 medium-sized tomatoes to stop any further caramelization of the onions. Stir and then reduce the heat to low and cover. Leave them to simmer for about 5 minutes for the tomatoes to soften and start releasing their juices. Use the back of your spatula to break them down further. As you can see, slow cooking does it. Do not be tempted to raise your heat because the tomatoes will dry out and we need the tomato juices. Patience is key. If you can lay your hands on very ripe tomatoes, the better. This is how thick and pulpy you want your tomatoes to be. Wait for them to cool down completely and then transfer them to your blender. If you blend a very hot mixture, you run the risk of the whole thing exploding and resulting in a very big mess. Blend until smooth, ensuring that you scrape down the sides of the blender at least once to catch any large pieces that might have splashed and stuck to the sides. As you blend the tomatoes, you'll also see the color change to a very nice, vibrant, orangish red color. You cannot get this color if you blend your tomatoes before cooking them fast. So cook them fast as I did and then blend. Once you're satisfied that the mixture is smooth enough, turn off the blender and set it aside for just a few minutes as you work on the next process. To the same sufuria, add 1 teaspoon of sunflower oil followed by a teaspoon of curry powder. Cook it off for about a minute to get rid of its raw taste and aroma. Once it starts turning dark, add 1 teaspoon of a mixture of ginger and garlic that are pounded in a pestle and mortar. Cook this for about 1.5 to 2 minutes just until it turns fragrant. The mixture will be dark but not burnt, so be careful and keep your heat on low. In addition, to ensure that it doesn't burn, keep moving it around constantly. Turn off the heat at this point. Next, pour in your blended tomato mixture back to your sufuria, but you must pass it through a sieve. We want the gravy to be smooth, no hard particles at all. I'm sure you can see what I meant when I talked about the beautiful, vibrant color. This is what remains on top once you're done. The tomato skins and spice particles. Discard them. They have no more use in this recipe. Also remember to scrape off all the gravy from the underside of the sieve. It will also help in deglazing the bottom of the sufuria. All those bits that were stuck at the bottom will loosen and come off. This tomato gravy is too thick as it is, so it's time to loosen it up. I used 1 cup of the broth that I had boiled the matumbo in. I needed to have the flavor of the matumbo present in the food. You could also use normal tap water if that's what you prefer. Here are the matumbo pieces, already boiled and cut up to my preferred sizes. There are 3 types of matumbo that I'll describe according to their appearance because I have no idea which part of the stomach they come from. There is the towel, which is what I have here. Then there is the book, and finally the tubes or intestines. I only buy the intestines if I'm making mutura, but I don't like them in my stew. At the end of the day, buy what makes you happy. Add salt to taste and 1 teaspoon of sugar to offset the tartness of the tomatoes. Cover and leave to simmer for about 10 minutes on low heat for the tomato gravy to cook completely and to give the matumbo time to absorb the flavors from the sufuria. Here we are after 10 minutes. Notice how the gravy has reduced and thickened considerably. And the aroma, it's just wow. Reduce the heat completely, then add 1 cup of double or cooking cream that is at room temperature, no cold cream straight from the fridge. Reducing the heat as you add the cream reduces the chances of it splitting. Sometimes I even turn off the heat completely. Adding cold cream to hot liquids also increases its chances of splitting. If the cream splits, then your matumbo will no longer be creamy. It will be one oily mess. So then after that, increase the heat slightly so that the mixture can slowly come up to a gentle simmer. Then stir, wait again for it to come up to another gentle simmer, and then stir. Do this about 3 times or so to ensure that the cream has stabilized and will not split. See how it's just one homogeneous mixture? That's what you want to end up with. Cover and leave to simmer for about 5 minutes for the cream to cook completely. So now the cream was cooked and the mixture had thickened. The cream is still holding together, it hasn't split. I love my hohos or bell peppers, so I added a mixture of red, green and yellow hohos. They are totally optional, leave them out if you don't like them. I like the crunch and color that they add to this matumbo recipe. I only left them to stay in the gravy long enough to warm through, not even to start softening. I was basically after the crunch. Finally, I added dhania or coriander leaves and turned off the heat. As you can see, the hohos were still very firm. Cook them longer if you prefer them softer. Serve this creamy matumbo curry over rice, ugali or chapati and enjoy. It was nice having you join me today. Until next time, please keep it Jikoni magic. Kwaherini ya kuonana.